Tanjiro turned out to be the most basic MC known to modern anime training under the most dripless Hashira. However, what would have happened if Tanjiro met Gyomei instead of Giyu when his family was slaughtered? Let's find out. Tanjiro rushes through the snowy forest in order to take Nezuko to a doctor. However, before Nezuko could even attack the unsuspecting Tanjiro, Gyomei arrives at the spot and snatches Nezuko off the back of Tanjiro and finishes her off in one blow, leaving Tanjiro with no possible explanation whatsoever. Just kidding. As Tanjiro navigates through the forest, Gyomei appears out of nowhere, making Tanjiro tumble into him headfirst and hit the ground along with him. Nezuko wakes up by this time and immediately tries to attack Gyomei, who practically slaps the demon across the ground in order to protect Tanjiro. Tanjiro begins to wake up and witnesses Nezuko fighting Gyomei. Gyomei goes for his axe, however, Nezuko quickly rushes towards Tanjiro, which prompts the stone-breathing Hashira to smash parts of her legs. Gyomei decides that Nezuko would make it a good challenge for the final selection at Mount Fujikasane. However, as he goes over to grab her, she maneuvers her way towards Tanjiro in a bid to protect the young boy. This prompts Gyomei to rethink his whole life as he gets a flashback of the time he encountered a demon for the first time. He snaps back to reality and ends up knocking both Tanjiro and Nezuko out. When Tanjiro wakes up after a while, he finds himself in a cave along with Nezuko, who's tied up, and Gyomei, who has started a fire. Tanjiro gets up on his feet while his hands are still tied and gives a considerable smack to Gyomei's head, which snaps him back to reality. Gyomei looks around and explains that he could feel that something is off about his sister, and that she's behaving a lot differently than other demons, which has piqued his interest. He further adds that he knows a former Hashira who could hypnotize his sister and make him somewhat docile, while referring to none other than the former water Hashira Urokadaki Sakonji. He gives Tanjiro two choices: either forfeit his will and live his life wailing with the memories of his dead family, or take up arms against the very person who killed him in order to exact revenge and hopefully turn his sister back into a human. Tanjiro, seeing no other option, agrees with Gyomei as he informs them that he'll teach him personally due to his exceptional physical prowess, which he displayed with his headbutt. However, he'll have to entrust his sister to Urokodaki. The sun sets and Gyomei takes the brother-sister duo to Mount Sagiri when Nezuko is handed over to Urokodaki, who promises to take care of her while Tanjiro completes his training. Gyomei asks Urokodaki whether it would be better to inform Master Kagaya about this. However, Urokodaki reminds him of Kagaya's prowess, claiming that the master would already know of this ordeal. However, if Gyomei is willing to vouch for the demon girl, he might be willing to look the other way. Tanjiro bids farewell to a sleeping Nezuko, and he and Gyomei head towards Gyomei's area of protection. Upon reaching there, Tanjiro once again runs into a rude introduction with Genya, who has also been recently recruited by Gyomei due to being unable to learn breathing techniques, and thus Gyomei is teaching him a bit differently. Months pass, and just like Genya, Tanjiro soon builds a humongous physique, which doesn't really go well with his baby face. However, there is a much bigger change in his weapon of choice, which is a two-handed axe that also detaches from the handle and forms a chain-like attachment. 2 years pass, and Tanjiro gets ready to face the heat of the final selection. He quickly scoops over Mount Fujikasane. However, instead of the hand demon, Tanjiro is pitted against the swamp demon, who this time around was caught alive by none other than Giyu, while hunting for him in a remote town. Tanjiro overpowers the demon in every aspect and ends up traumatizing him, as during his final moments, Muzan's cells show him a glimpse of Yorichi in the face of Tanjiro. The young demon slayer beheads the demon and moves on to complete the final selection along with Inosuke, who in the original story completed the challenge before anyone else could. Tanjiro tries to pick out his ore, however, as soon as he touches one of them, Inosuke barges in and picks that one before Tanjiro can in order to annoy him. This doesn't irk Tanjiro, as he wasn't going to pick that ore either way. Inosuke runs down the mountain while his crow follows him in desperation. Tanjiro concentrates on his olfactory senses and chooses the ore, which is similar to the one used by Gyomei. Tanjiro goes back to Mount Sagiri to take Nezuko along with him to Gyomei, where he finds Genya to be already present. The next day, Lord Techin arrives with Tanjiro's chained axe, which turns black, confusing everyone. Genya gets his wakizashi as well, however, it fails to change color once again, which prompts Techin to give him a secret compartment box to use as his behest, and gift a similar one to Tanjiro so that he could carry his sister. Tanjiro is then called upon by the Kasugai Crows and assigned his very first mission, to eradicate a suspected powerful demon in the Suzumi Mansion. Tanjiro begins his journey and saves a girl from Zenitsu's harassment while they join up for the mission. Tanjiro drags Zenitsu inside the mansion where they meet Inosuke. However, this time around, 𝐿𝐵𝐲𝐻𝐿 initiates his blood demon art much sooner, separating the 𝐾𝐫𝐵𝐲𝐻𝐿 squad. Tanjiro is instantly transported within 𝐿𝐵𝐲𝐻's reach, and an epic battle ensues. Being more buff and physically powerful than his original self, Tanjiro manages to get a hold of 𝐿𝐵𝐲𝐻 and slam him onto the ground without even using his Nichirin axe. 𝐿𝐵𝐲𝐻 realizes that he's facing no ordinary demon slayer and quickly gains his footing. 𝐿𝐵𝐲𝐻 immediately starts spamming the drums on his body, making the mansion go haywire, and along with it, all the people inside it. Zenitsu, like usual, almost shits his pants. However, as he goes into his comatose state, he absolutely annihilates the tongue demon, while Inosuke takes care of the fat demon. Tanjiro starts to figure out the patterns of 𝐿𝐵𝐲𝐻's drums, and finally, when he's completely sure of all the pieces of the puzzle falling into place, he brings out his concealed axe, and with one swing initiates the axe's chain, which stretches all the way to the demon's neck and severs it without much difficulty. As the demon disintegrates into the air, Tanjiro chants a prayer taught to him by Gyomei to ease the soul of the departed demon. As the three demon slayers move out of the house and save the children inside, Inosuke challenges Zenitsu, who ends up avoiding him. However, Inosuke's behavior triggers Tanjiro a bit, and he ends up literally bitch-slapping him into the ground, and proceeds to bury the bodies of the dead children. After resting in the old woman's house in the night, the 𝐾𝐫𝐵𝐲𝐻 squad is then dispatched to take care of an unprecedented threat on Mount Natakumo. The slayers reach the mountain. However, contrary to the information, the three demon slayers find nothing but an empty forest filled with broken spider webs and strings. Tanjiro warns Zenitsu and Inosuke to heed caution, but the boar-headed, or may I say boar-minded, Inosuke just rushes off the deep end into the forest to find an enemy worthy of beating his ass to the ground. Suddenly, a loud noise zones out from the exact direction Inosuke ran off to, and a flying Inosuke follows the sound soon after. Inosuke slams into a tree, almost bloody to a pulp, barely alive. Zenitsu gets anxious as he informs them that he can hear a heartbeat approaching them. However, the sound of it seems preposterous, even for a demon. Tanjiro's eyesight wanders through the thick forest, and suddenly a chill crawls up his spine as he notices deep yellow eyes with the upper three written on them, piercing the thick fog. Before Tanjiro could turn back and warn Zenitsu, 𝐴𝐵𝐲 dashes through the trees and punches Zenitsu, taking him by surprise. Tanjiro sinks into disbelief, thinking about how his journey and the long years he spent training are about to come to a quick end. 𝐴𝐵𝐲 notices Tanjiro's Hanafuda earrings and gets Yorichi's flashback. However, he snaps out of it and runs towards the young slayer. As he's about to hit Tanjiro, the fight is interrupted at the last minute as Gyomei arrives at the scene along with Obanai to take care of the situation and push 𝐴𝐵𝐲 back. Obanai runs to retrieve Inosuke and Zenitsu, who are barely alive, and put them to safety, while Gyomei holds back 𝐴𝐵𝐲.